Imagine a philosopher who challenged almost every accepted belief of his time, a thinker who questioned religion, morality, truth, and even the foundation of modern civilization. That philosopher was Friedrich Nietzsche. More than a century after his death, his idea continued to influence philosophy, psychology, literature, and politics around the world. Nietzsche was born in Germany in 1844. He saw extraordinary intellectual talent from an early age and became a professor of classical philology when he was only 24 years old, but his interest soon moved beyond language and history. He wanted to understand human nature itself and the hidden force that shape our belief and action. Unlike many philosophers before him, Nietzsche did not build a neat philosophical system. Instead, he wrote in a bold and provocative style. His book contained stories, aphorisms, poems, and argument. He wanted readers to think for themselves rather than simply accepted ready-made answers. Nietzsche lived during a period of enormous social and scientific change. Traditional religious beliefs are losing authority, while science and technology are becoming more powerful. Many people believe that reason and progress would solve humanity's problem. Nietzsche was not convinced. He believed a deeper crisis was emerging beneath the surface. According to Nietzsche, modern society was entering an age in which old values are collapsing. People no longer fully believe in traditional religion truth, yet they had not created meaningful alternative. This situation creates confusion, uncertainty, and feeling that feel lacked purpose. Nietzsche's philosophy can be understood as an attempt to confront this crisis. He asks difficult questions. Where do our value come from? Where do we believe what we believe? What happens when old moral systems lose their authority? To answer this question, he launched a radical critique of modern culture. To understand Nietzsche's critique, we first need to understand the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment was an intellectual movement that emphasized reason, science, progress, and human freedom. Thinkers believed that rational thinking could help humanity overcome ignorance and build a better world. Nietzsche appreciated many achievements of the Enlightenment. However, he believed its supporters placed too much faith in reason. They assumed that human beings are primarily rational creatures who make decisions based on logic and evidence. Nietzsche thought this view was incomplete. According to Nietzsche, human behavior is often driven by emotion, desire, instinct, ambition, and unconscious motivation. Reason frequently serves this deeper force rather than controlling them. People often use rational argument to justify decisions they have already made for emotional reason. Nietzsche also challenged the Enlightenment belief in objective and universal truth. He argued that what people call truth is often influenced by historical circumstances, cultural tradition, and human interest. Different societies may interpret reality in very different ways. This does not mean Nietzsche believed that facts do not matter. Instead, he wanted people to recognize that every perspective is shaped by particular experiences and values. Knowledge is never completely separate from the people who create it. Nietzsche was especially critical of the Enlightenment faith in progress. Many thinkers assume that history naturally moves towards greater freedom, reason, and happiness. Nietzsche saw no guarantee of such progress. Human beings remain capable of cruelty, conflict, and self-destruction despite scientific advancement. For Nietzsche, modern society had replaced religious certainty with faith in science and rationality. But he believed this new faith often ignored deeper questions about meaning and purpose. Science can explain how things happen, but it cannot tell us why life should matter or what values we should embrace. This critique led Nietzsche towards one of his most famous observations, the declaration that God is dead. He did not mean that a divine being had literally died. Rather, he meant that traditional religious beliefs are losing their power to guide modern life. The challenge was to create new values without relying on old certainties. If old values are disappearing, what drives human beings? Nietzsche's answer is found in one of his most important concepts, the will to power. He believed that beneath human action lies a fundamental drive towards growth, expansion, creativity, and self-assertion. Many philosophers had argued that people are mainly motivated by pleasure or survival. Nietzsche disagreed. He believed that living beings constantly seek to express their strength, overcome obstacles, and save the world around them. This deeper impulse is what he called the will to power. The will to power should not be understood only as a desire to dominate others. That is a common misunderstanding. For Nietzsche, its highest form is self-mastery. It involves overcoming one's weaknesses, fear, and limitation in order to become a stronger and more creative person. Artists, scientists, inventors, and great leaders often demonstrate this drive. They push beyond existing boundaries, challenge accepted ideas, and create something new. Their achievements are not merely attempts to gain comfort or security. They express a deeper desire to realize their potential. Nietzsche believed that healthy individuals embrace challenges rather than avoiding them. Struggle is not simply a problem to eliminate. It is often the very condition that allow growth and development. Without obstacles, human excellence would have little opportunity to emerge. This idea connects directly to Nietzsche's famous concept of Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman. The Übermensch is not a biological superior being. It is an ideal representation, someone who creates new values and saves their own life with courage and creativity. The Übermensch refused to follow inherited belief blindly. Instead, this individual takes responsibility for creating meaning in a world where traditional certainties have disappeared. Through self-overcoming, they transform challenge into opportunities for personal growth. Thus, the will to power is not merely a psychological theory, it is also an ethical challenge. Nietzsche asks each person whether they will remain passive and dependent on old values or actively participate in creating their own path through life. Nietzsche's most famous investigation of values appeared in his work on the Genealogy of Morality. Here he asks a simple but revolutionary question: where do our moral values come from? Instead of assuming morality is eternal, he studies its historical origins. Nietzsche argued that moral systems are not timeless truths handed down from heaven. They develop through social and historical processes. To understand morality, he must examine the power struggle, cultural change, and psychological force that shaped it. He distinguished between what he called master morality and slave morality. Master morality emerged among strong and confident groups who value strength, courage, pride, achievement, and independence. They consider these qualities good because they reflected their way of life. Slave morality developed among weaker and oppressed groups, unable to exercise power directly. They interpreted values, qualities such as humility, obedience, compassion, patience, and self-sacrifice become moral virtues. Strength and dominance are often condemned as evil. Nietzsche does not simply praise one morality and reject the other. Instead, he wants to reveal that moral values have histories. What people consider good or evil is often connected to social condition and struggle for power rather than eternal moral fact. A key concept in this analysis is resentment, or what Nietzsche called ressentiment. When people feel powerless, they may transform their frustration into moral judgment. Instead of confronting their limitation directly, they condemn those who possess qualities they cannot achieve themselves. Nietzsche believed that much of modern morality still carries traces of this historical process. He argued that excessive emphasis on guilt, self-denial, and conformity suppress creativity, individuality, and human flourishing. His goal was not to eliminate morality altogether. Rather, he wanted a critical examination of inherited values. By understanding where our moral beliefs come from, we gain the freedom to evaluate them and decide whether they truly support human growth. The genealogy of morality therefore serves as a powerful tool of philosophical investigation. It teaches us to question assumptions that often seem obvious and natural. Nietzsche encourages us to ask not only whether a value exists, but also why it exists and whose interested it serves. Friedrich Nietzsche remains one of the most influential and controversial thinkers in modern philosophy. He challenged the Enlightenment's faith in reason and progress, explored the will to power as a fundamental force of human life, and tracked the historical origins of moral values through his genealogy of morality. At the center of his philosophy lies a profound challenge. When old certainty disappears, human beings must take responsibility for creating meaning, values, and purpose for themselves. Whether one agree with him or not, Nietzsche's question continue to force us to examine our belief, confront our assumption, and think more deeply about what it means to live a meaningful human life.
If you are still watching, I hope you are finding this content useful. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and share your thought in the comment. Your support motivates me to create even more content like this.